What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome back to my channel. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the college football season is coming to a close. Sad noises, I know. This season has been the weirdest college football season in recent memory, maybe 2007, but definitely the weirdest and most unusual season of my lifetime, and I'm sure of your guys' lifetimes as well. But what an incredible way to close out this season. The 2021 National Championship game, the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Alabama Crimson Tide. This is my mega preview and prediction. I'm going to be giving you guys stats, some keys to the game, and then overall giving my thoughts on the game and the prediction as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right on into it. Just going to start by reminding you guys what happened in the semifinals. Again, Alabama beat Notre Dame 31-14 in the Rose Bowl. Again, moved to Arlington, Texas because of COVID. Couldn't play the game in Pasadena. Alabama could have been more dominant in that game, only putting up 31 points. So it seems like they're coming off a bye week and maybe might be more refreshed than Ohio State, because when you look on the other side, Ohio State put all of their thoughts and effort into this game against Clemson. They came out on top. They embarrassed the Tigers, and Justin Fields may not be fully at 100% by the time this game starts. But these, in my opinion, are the two most talented teams in college football. It's set to be an absolutely phenomenal one in Miami and Hard Rock Stadium. Let's go ahead and first I'm going to give you some basic stats. You can go down there if you don't know what they stand for. They are points per game, opponent points per game, yards per game, and then rushing passing yards per game, and then opponent yards per games, and opponent rushing, opponent passing yards per games. And that is in order of what I have down the screen. Again, if you know what they are, look them up. I don't feel like saying them again. But these two teams on paper are very, very similar. There are some slight differences between the teams, which I will go through now. When you look points per game, these teams are both very explosive offenses. Alabama being one of the most historic offenses in college football. Again, reminder of LSU last year, but Alabama has seemed to put up more points than them. Defenses are very similar as well, averaging around 20 points per game allowed on each side. So on paper already, maybe the slight edge to Alabama, but looks pretty even. Yards per game is very even as well. But where Ohio State stands out is that rushing ability of Justin Fields and how Trey Sermon has exploded. And again, Master Teague still a good back. Ohio State can run the ball from any position on the field. Again, Justin Fields can run it. Trey Sermon and Master Teague are excellent running backs, and they can run the end around with Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave. Ohio State can run the ball in any which way, while Alabama has had one of the best passing attacks in the recent memory of college football. Again, Devontae Smith, your Heisman winner, Mac Jones, a Heisman finalist, and Jalen Waddle may come back to play in this game. So Ohio State maybe has the run advantage, but Alabama has the pass advantage. But don't forget about Najee Harris, still a good running back. On the defensive side, Ohio State is great against the run, but so is Alabama. Ohio State just a little bit better than Bama, and Bama just a little bit better of a pass defense. But again, these two teams, when you look on paper, they are very, very similar. And it shows you that this is going to be an offensive shootout, and maybe one or two defensive stops is going to win the game for one of these teams. We'll have to see how they go. But as of right now, looking like a fairly even game on paper. I'm going to be giving you 5 keys to the game for each of these two teams, 5 keys that I feel like are going to play a big part in this game and what these teams are going to have to do to beat one another. We're going to start with Alabama, as they are the favorite and just, I think, the more expected team to go and win the national championship game since the season restart plan was announced and all that good stuff. But we're going to start with the connection that has worked all year. Mac Jones to Devontae Smith. As I mentioned, 2 Heisman finalists, with Devontae Smith winning the Heisman. Now, of course, Jalen Waddle could be coming back in this game, but he's going to end up being a game-time decision. But ever since he has gotten hurt, Devontae Smith has been absolutely incredible. Of course, again, like I just said, capturing the Heisman, this connection has worked all year for Alabama. It's made them one of the most dominant offenses in recent memory of college football, and it's going to have to continue to be great in this game for Alabama to keep momentum and roll their way to a national championship. But Mac Jones and Devontae Smith aren't the only 2 big playmakers on offense. They have Najee, Hurdles, Harris, nickname that I've given him myself. Again, Najee can do it all. Najee's a great power runner, reminds you a lot of Derrick Henry. They're built similarly, and they even wear the same number. Coincidence? I think not. Derrick Henry was a great running back at Alabama as well. Najee Harris is another great running back that has come through the University of Alabama. And when he hurdled that guy against Notre Dame, he was basically standing straight up and down. So Najee Harris, while he has the power and strength to punch through a defensive line and shake off tackles, he also has the athleticism, quickness, and speed to hurdle a guy, make guys miss, and get some guys on the turf breaking their ankles. Najee Harris can do it all. Going to be important to see if Najee Harris can get through that excellent run defense of Ohio State in this game. He's going to need to have a pretty solid game if Alabama is going to want to win the national championship game. But back to the passing game for Alabama, exploiting the Buckeye secondary is a big thing that Alabama has to do. Buckeye secondary has looked vulnerable all year, minus the game against Clemson. And in my opinion, they really only have one true NFL caliber cornerback that's ready for the NFL right now, and that's Shaun Wade. And if Jalen Waddle is healthy enough to come back and play in this game, that's going to create some matchup problems. Who do you put Shaun Wade on? Maybe put Josh Proctor on the other, or Sevyn Banks on the other. This Buckeye secondary and defensive backcourt has looked vulnerable all year, and Alabama has enough talent to be able to exploit that. They should be able to exploit the Buckeye secondary if need be. Going to be a big thing for Alabama to do in this game. But also on the defensive side of the ball, they've been one of the best defenses in college football this year, but slowing down the Buckeye offense is easier said than done. Justin Fields was playing amazing. Even after he got hurt on that hit from James Skalski, he still came out, put on a show, fighting through pain. Trey Sermon has exploded. They have one of the best wide receiver cores in the entire nation. It is not going to be easy to slow down this Buckeye offense, especially because now their offensive line looks like it's going to be at full strength with the guard Harry Miller, should be able to return and play this game. I haven't read anything otherwise, but again, this is a very solid defense. I think they're more than capable of slowing down the Buckeye offense, but this Buckeye offense is very, very explosive. They showed that against Clemson, and I don't know how much Ohio State is going to slow down on their offensive attack. But slowing down this Buckeye offense needs to happen for Alabama. But the thing that Alabama has going for them is they have the best to ever do it on the sideline. That's right. Nick Saban's experience has helped Alabama in the past. It should help them in this game. If I had one coach to pick to help me go win a national championship game, that coach is Nick Saban. The best to ever do it, looking for a seventh national championship. And he's been in a lot more that he's lost as well in recent memory. Nick Saban, the best to ever do it. He's prepared teams similar to this before and been on this stage before. Nick Saban knows how to get things done. I trust no one more than Nick Saban. Moving on to the Buckeyes side of things, they, again, are seen as the underdogs. They are seen as, they shouldn't win this game. Maybe they should keep it close, but they're not going to win. Well, I give Ohio State a pretty good shot here to come out and beat Alabama. They definitely have the talent to do so, but what are they going to have to do to beat Alabama? It starts with Justin Fields playing his game. Now, it doesn't seem like, and I see no way that Justin Fields is 100% healthy, ready to go by the start of this game. Again, that hit from James Skalski was just absolutely obliterating, bone-crushing. It was an absolutely nasty hit as well. But Justin Fields still got up and played like a Heisman-caliber quarterback. He's going to need to play like that throughout this game. And I think what falls under this category, too, is the wide receiver core. Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Julian Fleming, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, Jamison Williams, along with the tight end group, and Luke Farrell, Jeremy Ruckert that they got going in that game against Clemson as well. Justin Fields and the wide receiver core are going to have to be on point in this game because this Bama defense is a different monster than Clemson, but they showed they have great offensive firepower against Clemson. It needs to continue throughout this game. But Justin Fields and the wide receiver core don't have to do it all themselves. They have Trey Sermon in the backfield, who has exploded in his past 2 games. 331 yards in the Big Ten championship game, and I believe 191 or 194 yards in that game against Clemson. There were so many times in that game where I thought, yep, Trey Sermon's down. But no, he got up and he kept running. As far as yards after first contact, he is amazing. I saw a stat where I believe he had 17 times where he touched the ball with significant yards after contact, and I believe he only had 10 of those in the regular season. It was something like that, but Trey Sermon needs to continue the momentum in this game, help out Justin Fields in that run game. It's why Ohio State's one of the best. Don't forget about Master Teague back there as well. If he ends up playing in this game, he is going to be a big part. The run game has to get going for Ohio State. They got to be able to mix up signals on the offensive line. Speaking of the offensive line, they need to win the line of scrimmage, not just on the offensive side of the ball, but on the defensive side of the ball as well. Alabama's defensive line and offensive line are some of the best in the entire nation. The Ohio State offensive line should be back at full strength with Harry Miller returning. And on the defensive side, Ohio State's defensive line might have some guys out because of COVID, so their depth might be factored into this one. But for the most part, Ohio State has an absolutely phenomenal defensive line. And the story of it is, well, there's no Chase Young or Nick Bosa or Joey Bosa. There's none of those guys. They still have an absolutely terrific front seven. They can get back to the quarterback. They can create pressure. They're going to have to do that against Mac Jones. Make him or have him force some bad throws, but they're also going to need to read Najee Harris. Najee Harris is great at improvising runs. If the read of the called play wasn't there, he can improvise it like that. So the Buckeyes are going to need to win the line of scrimmage. I would say it's more important to win it on the defensive side than the offensive side, but they don't want to get Justin Fields taking more big hits because of the state he is already in. Stopping Bama's 3-headed monster is Ohio State's. It's easier said than done, and it could be a 4-headed monster if Jalen Waddle comes back to play in this game. Again, you have Devontae Smith, Mac Jones, and Najee Harris as their 3-headed monster. It could be a 4-headed monster if Jalen Waddle decides to come back and play. Again, he is a game-time decision, so we're going to have to see how healthy he is if he is going to play in this game. But stopping that is going to be huge. A big part of that, again, is winning the line of scrimmage, but also Ohio State's secondary. They can't let Alabama exploit it. Now, that's a key for the game for Alabama. A key to the game for Ohio State is having that secondary play as good as possible. This defense played their best game of the season against Clemson, and I think they're going to have to play better against Bama. Bama's got a better offense. They have better playmakers than Clemson. They are going to need to play lights out on the defensive side of the ball if they want to have a shot at this thing. But also embracing the underdog mentality is something Ohio State is used to doing. They did it in 2014 in both playoff games. They did it against Clemson in their last game, and they're going to have to do it here, especially now with they might have guys with COVID out. Now people are going to say, well, they really have no shot to win this game, which is where I say you're wrong. The underdog mentality has fueled Ohio State. Again, they had something to prove against Clemson, and I think maybe they still might have a little something to prove against Alabama. They weren't supposed to be here. They weren't supposed to play football this fall. Well, look at where they are. They've proven themselves that they are worthy of being here. The underdog mentality is going to have to be big for Ohio State. But enough talking about the behind the scenes and what each team has to do to win. Let's predict the game, shall we? Alabama finds themselves the 8-point favorite, over and under being 75.5, expected to be a high-scoring game. Again, Monday, January 11th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on ESPN for all the marbles. The last 2 undefeated teams in college football, 7-0 Ohio State, 12-0 Alabama. Ohio State, as I just said, wasn't supposed to be here. They weren't supposed to play a season. But Justin Fields and this Ohio State team fought, as did Nebraska and a lot of other Big Ten teams. They fought, and Ohio State battled their way through the Big Ten, battled through COVID concerns, battled through some sluggish performances, and they have proven they belong here. While Alabama has just looked like they belong here throughout the entire season, and it sets up a shot at a national championship game. Game of the year, game of the decade, game of the century. It all could happen on the field in Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. Now, again, both teams are in Miami, so the game is scheduled to play as scheduled because both teams are in Miami. Alabama landed there last night as of recording this video, and Ohio State, as of recording this video, should be flying in as we speak. But now what I think is going to happen in this game? Well, I think the offense is going to show out. Again, you have Justin Fields, Trey Sermon, that excellent wide receiver core on one side. You have Devontae Smith, possibly Jalen Waddle, Najee Harris, and Mac Jones on the other side. This is going to be an offensive shootout, which is why I think the defense is going to win this game. And I give the slight edge to the Alabama defense. They've just looked better this season. They've looked more dynamic. They've looked less vulnerable than the Ohio State defense. But remember the last time Alabama's defense played a really good offense. If you don't know what that is, that's Florida. Florida was at full strength in that game. Alabama's defense seemed to be shutting them down early, but as soon as Florida's offense found a rhythm, Alabama's defense was like, wait, we don't know what to do. And they let Florida get back in the game. But Alabama's offense was able to outscore Florida. Otherwise, Alabama probably would have lost that game. Now, Ohio State played their best offensive game of the season against Clemson, and they're going to have to do it here in this one, exploit that Alabama defense, but Ohio State's defense, again, has looked vulnerable. They can't do that. Now, where I've heard some people say this game might be won is just in mentality. Alabama doesn't necessarily have anything to prove other than the fact that they should win this game. And if they lose this game, people might say, oh, geez, Nick Saban's time is running out, huh? Yeah, Nick Saban doesn't have it anymore. Nick Saban still definitely has it. But the question with Ohio State could be the same. Do they have something to prove? I think they do. I think they absolutely have something to prove. But all of their strive and momentum was put into that Clemson game. Now, of course, they're going to carry momentum into this game. But I think some Ohio State fans feel as if they've just won the national championship with beating Clemson. That was the game that they had on. They had the score in the locker room. They had the score on at practice. They had the score buzzing around their heads of the semifinal last year in that game. And there's really no drive to beat Alabama when you look at it with the naked eye. You kind of have to search for a drive to beat Bama other than the fact of proving that you belonged here. So the mentality is going to be huge. Ohio State might have guys out because of COVID, but the game, again, is still going to go on as scheduled. Now, Nate, that's great and all. What do you think is going to happen in this game? It's going to be an offensive shootout, for sure. That's 75.5. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the over on this game. I wouldn't be surprised if the teams combined for 80, maybe 90 points. And I know that's a lot of points, Nate. Gee, slow down. That's a lot of points. These two teams are capable of it. Where it's going to be won is on the defensive side of the ball. Whichever defense can play better, whichever defense can stop, whichever defense can come up with more stops, that is going to be huge in this game. Ohio State is riding off a lot of momentum. Both these teams have had great seasons, but Alabama has looked like the best. They've looked like the most deserving. They've looked like all around one of the best teams we've seen in recent memory in college football. And again, I trust nobody more than Nick Saban. Ohio State, in my opinion, I would love nothing more than to them to go win a 9th national championship. And I give Ohio State a great shot to do so. And I think Ohio State's going to keep it closer than 8 points. But my prediction is going to go to the Alabama Crimson Tide. I am an Ohio State fan. I would love it if Ohio State were to win this game. Am I going to be disappointed if Ohio State loses this game? Yes, absolutely. It was a great season, and you come up just short. Am I going to be overly disappointed? I don't think so. Ohio State played a great game against Clemson. If they play a great game here and they give it their all, hey, Alabama's a really tough team, and they've looked like the best all season. I think the best bet here is to go with Alabama, the team that has looked the best all season long, especially now that Ohio State has these COVID concerns, maybe has some guys out. We don't quite know the details of that yet, but I'm going to go ahead and go with Alabama to win the national championship game. Could I see Ohio State winning it? Yes, absolutely. I could see Ohio State winning this game. I absolutely could. I just think that Alabama has been the best team this year, and they are going to prove that in this game against Ohio State. Let me know who you guys have winning the national championship game in the comment section down below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Comment down below again your thoughts on this video, who you have winning the national championship. Turn on the notification bell so you know when I upload. And again, you will be able to join Tailgate Nation. Share this video with everyone you know. Hype up for the national championship game. It's going to be a good one. I hope my Buckeyes can pull this one out. I am predicting Bama to win, but Ohio State definitely has a shot. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. If this game ends up getting postponed, I'll do a video on that, although I don't see it being likely. But I will see you guys with my Ohio State fan reaction to this game right after the national championship game. No matter what happens, going to be a fun one. Can't wait to watch it. Have a safe, wonderful weekend, everybody. I will talk to you guys later. Goodbye. Enjoy this thrilling national championship game.